Hello, Internet, and welcome to the inaugural episode of this podcast, which currently still has no name. I am Alan, and today joining me, introduce yourselves.
Hello, Min.
Oh.
And that is Ferris, because he doesn't want to introduce himself.
I was waiting. I thought he was gonna say something about himself. Oh my goodness.
It's fun. All right, so
My name is
just a
Harris.
brief, just yeah,
Kill
just a
me.
brief introduction of this podcast. Yeah, so we decided to make our own sort of podcast on the games that we play and sort of follow. Um,
That you're
because you're
interested in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because we already talk about them enough while playing games, so in a more relaxed setting, we can voice our opinions and talk about the games we like without actually yelling over mics and such.
Yeah.
So most of the games we'll cover will be Overwatch and League, as well as maybe touching on Hearthstone and other general news, just in general in the video game industry and what's making waves there. So today, I'll start us off. There have been big news reports in Overwatch this past week. We were actually going to record this earlier in the week, but due to technical difficulties, it was delayed, and because of that, we have more to talk about. So that's interesting, exciting. I mean, so first off, earlier this week, season 2 changes were announced for Overwatch, with season 1 ending on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll be seeing the break in between be sort of the testing ground when it hits PTR, which is actually uh, it hits today, right, Min?
It already hit today, actually. The
All right,
patch
so
is
it already
came.
hit today. So people are already playing that. We get to see in the next sort of break in between season 1 and season 2 what people think of it, and maybe Blizzard might do some changes in between based on response. But I think their testing's already underway. So season 2 changes. We can sort of do a rundown of it and sort of discuss those while we're going through. So the first thing I have for us to talk about is the new skill rating system. So in Jeff Kaplan's dev blog, he sort of revealed how their thought process was behind changing up the system. Before, when it was 1 to 100, they felt that players couldn't really grasp how well they were playing. Um, One of the examples that he gave was that a player at 60 was actually in the top 6%. So that was actually a really good accomplishment. So claps to everyone in 60 and above. Um, and yeah, so they're actually in top 6%. But Jeff Kaplan explained how, because of this metric that we have for 1 to 100 ingrained in us from just school and other ratings in general, 60 isn't a very good score. It's actually almost close to failing. So this sort of mentality carried over into this rating system, and people that were in the top 6% of the players playing Overwatch actually thought they weren't doing as well as some of the higher ranking players in, say, 70 or 80, even though they already are part of that sort of upper echelon of top 10% of players. So now this new skill rating system is ranging from 1 to 5,000. So it gets rid of the little fractional increments that are in between the ratings that you see whenever you level up in rank. Um, Same thing. If you win or lose, you'll be going up and down. But instead of the increments, you'll actually be going down by like 1 rank, 2 rank, so to say. And then a new thing as well is that top 500 players will have a requirement of having played at least 50 matches. So I'll hand it over to Min since he's our resident Overwatch pro in our team here. What are your thoughts on this?
I love the changes. The 50 wins for top 500 or 50 games helps a lot with the smurfing issues, where people are complaining how some people can get lucky placements and play 8 or so matches and then you place in top 500. That will no longer happen. But although some of those already happened in season one, but in season two it won't happen. But for the 1 to 5,000, we already have a tier list that's actually released right now. So from bronze to grandmaster, from 1 to 5,000. So bronze is 1 to 1499, silver is 1500 to 1999, gold is 2000 to 2499, platinum is 2500 to 2999, and diamond is 3000 to 3499, master is 3500 to 3999, and grandmaster is 4000 to 5000. So this will give a more accurate representation of your skill, and that's always needed in a game that wants to be very competitive. So, another big news was from bronze to diamond, people will not fall out of their tier, even if you lose. So, also with the rewards, if you have reached, it will do peak rewards just like it has in season 1. So, if you reach master and you decayed out, you'll still get the master rewards. So that's also a nice one. And speaking of decay, Master and Grandmaster now will have decay if you don't play for 7 days. You'll lose 50 rating points every 24 hours, but the rating will not go below 3,000, so you will never decay out of Diamond. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of other stuff, but very minuscule. Overall,
Yeah.
good change.
So, yeah. So with these changes, they're sort of reminiscent of if anyone has played Overwatch in preseason or in beta. I mean, that's what I'm gonna call it. Um, yeah, in beta, the ranking system back then actually did sort of have the system of climbing up to. Was the highest master at that point? Or was it
We just
grandmaster?
call it heroic.
Was it heroic? Okay, so it was heroic, where players, yeah, it was more of a grind because um, no matter how many times you lose, you won't drop back down because you'll always remain at your peak. But then because of the system, yeah, because of that system, people would almost always just reach heroic if you played enough games because uh, you only have to win a certain amount of games in a row to actually bump up to the next one. But with this new system, the tiers are sort of wider. You have sort of 500 increments except for bronze and silver. Am I correct? No, no, for bronze. Yep. 1,000 to 0 to 1,500, and because of that, uh, you sort of are able to climb like the system is now, but you sort of feel the reward of having accomplishing say gold for that season because you'll never drop below gold, um, because from bronze to diamond you won't drop below the the tier that you're in, and the decay is only for master and grandmaster, dropping in and out of that and back into diamond. All right, so that's insights from Min and myself. But now um, we're gonna go to a sort of more casual playing side because for me and Harris, we play mostly in groups with each other and with Min when he plays with us.
Yeah, I have
Because for
ladder
those,
anxiety.
yeah, for those of you who don't know, Min takes the game way more seriously than we do because we play more casually. So he's sort of giving sort of almost the top ladder insights.
He's a try
Whereas
hard.
me and Min are or me and Harris actually are the everyman sort of perspective. So from the everyman perspective, Harris, what do you
Yeah.
think of the new rating system as well as the rating tiers?
I think the new rating system is more forgiving for us players that are more casual like because the tier having a tier system is well,
More rewarding,
yeah,
would you
more
say?
warning, yeah. Because right now
Yeah,
the reason I don't play by myself is because like even if I like reach like what rank 70 or something, I still don't feel that I have enough rewards to it doesn't feel that rewarding to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the recent change that they, or not recent change, but the sort of much more recent announcement to the current rank system is that they actually revealed the sort of tiers for when people are awarded their competitive points. So that sort of gave value to the numbers, which is why near the end of the season, me and Harris sort of went for the 65 goal because that was an actual goal we could reach. But now I think with the new skill rating tiers, there's more sort of definite goals where you could say that from Diamond and up, then that's where they get the 300 CP, and then Master and Grandmaster, that's where they're going for the top 500 title. Um, yeah. So for next changes that they have listed here, I'm just gonna read out some of the changes they have for maps and gameplay. So something exciting is that sudden death is actually going away completely, which I think is a welcome sort
Just
of
a
aspect
blast.
to it. Yeah, just because I feel like sudden death was the original design goal was sudden death is a reward for or recognition that a game was really close and that two teams are very even, but because of the way coin flipped worked and how sudden death was taken into account, it was felt very one-sided, and that everything was not everything, but sudden death was very RNG based because some maps were more defense oriented and assault oriented, and because of that, uh, the coin flip would naturally decide who would win between two evenly matched teams already, just because of how there's a disparity between the advantages of a team based on their spawn, the distance from their spawn point to the payload, or say the control point, and because of that, there's sort of been a certain meta almost built around how defense is played and how assault is played to go off the snowball or to stop the snowball because of this sort of mechanic. So now they're bringing in, or not bringing in, but they're taking away sudden death. So control maps no longer sudden death. Games are still best out of five, um, which is so there's no changes for control maps. For assault maps, they will still play like the season one time bank system, but the changes to Assault are now that there's bonus 30 seconds after the first initial cap. This is so that the game doesn't instantly end if the attacking team captures the first point during overtime, which is what was going on in first season. For payload and hybrid maps, payload and hybrid payload, I mean, there will be no sudden death, but because of their nature of having payload, instead, the teams will play on a time bank system, which is similar to what we have on Assault right now. So, say your team finishes the map with like 3 minutes to spare, right? You'll later get a second round on attack, uh, in which you can see how far you can push with the not 30 seconds, 3 minutes that you saved up in the first time. So originally, when you captured a point with 30 seconds left, it would bump your timer up to 2 minutes, sort of like a buffer. No matter, as long as you didn't hit overtime, as long as say like you had 1 second left, it would bump you up to 2 minutes. That will be decreased to one. Also, instead of the sudden death, there's putting in ties, and this is sort of the rare occurrence that they wanted to happen with sudden death. And ties will only apply if both teams don't push the payload at all, and if both teams don't cap point A. So if a tie happens, both teams will receive CP. It won't be as much of a win. So I'm gonna throw this off to Min to give better insights because he understands the sort of map balance and meta based off of these maps. So what do you think of these changes?
First off, the coin toss being God. Thank God. I hated RNG. Mainly because my RNG sucked. But aside from that, the two CP maps, that's a very interesting way of going to it. Since they're removing sudden death, they have to add a different mechanic. So what they're adding is 30 seconds after A, or after the first cap. So when you first attack, you get 5 more minutes after the first point of A, and you attack B. So say it's a second round, it's 2-2. You go again, you get 30 more seconds, and that'll kind of buffer out the time, the 30-second time to get from A to B in most maps. So it's kind of as if they want to get rid of the moving space, I guess. So it does buff up attacking teams much more, but this might also just encourage rush comps to come out more often. So maybe more Diva, more Winston might be coming into the meta, especially for Assault, anyways. And for the 1 minute push up thing when you're below the 2 minutes or 1 minute or whatever, that was kind of a stupid system in my opinion. Anyways, so aside from that, the 1 minute that both team gets 1 minute, I feel like that's a very interesting way of going into it. I don't know how well it'll work out because the winning team also gets benefit from that as well as the losing team. It's kind of a weird aspect of getting to it. And the payload, the timeback system. I'm still not 100%. I'm not a fan of the timeback system. I much rather have a stopwatch system because that's what
Yeah,
every
for
tournament's
those,
using.
yeah. So for those who don't follow competitive Overwatch, can you explain the difference between time bank and stopwatch?
Of course, stopwatch works it as so how the maps are chosen in the tournament is say Alan bans a couple maps and I ban a couple maps, and then what's left in the pool is say Dorado. So say I pick Dorado, then Alan gets the choice of going attack or defense. So say he chooses attack first, and Alan finishes the whole map in 4 minutes. So I have so we switch sides, and then I have to finish that map, all three checkpoints in 4 minutes. And if I'm unable to do that in 4 minutes, I lose. If I'm able to finish it faster than Alan, I win. And that's how the stopwatch mode works. And
So yeah, so just a quick summary. With time bank, it sort of allows teams to sort of keep going based off of their own time, whereas stopwatch is one team sort of sets the timer for their performance. Say, yeah, like Min's example, I finish in 4 minutes, right? And they sort of set their own timer, or we set the timer for them to finish in 4 minutes. Um, with that case. The only thing with that is that because I can sort of see where the developers are going with using time bank instead of stopwatch for just a general populace, because um, the format for competitive at the pro level, there's usually sets of games for like say a best of three, best of five, right? But with the way it is now, it might be hard to implement that and explain it to general populace because um, the best of series wouldn't really work because there's always the first team that is setting the tone, but they're setting the tone because they chose that map in pro level play, which is why they chose that map because that's part of their plan, right? So I'm just saying in sort of below pro level play, um, you're not going to have a coordinated 6 man team say, all right, ban these maps, choose this map, good because the maps are randomized, and also you're almost never gonna see a 6 man uh, compared to just six solos because that's just the more general population and how they're playing.
okay, I'll also say dynamic queue really needs to go, especially more than three. Please just remove it. Well, aside from that, I can see the merits of not having a stopwatch system in the general just ladder. Mainly because say a 4 minute in Dorado, that's ridiculously fast. And that's a huge morale crusher to go up against. Whereas at least in a time bank, even if they finish it fast, at least you still have hope to we can finish the map too, and we can put up a good defense afterwards and make them have a troubling time, even with the extra time. So I can see why the time bank is still in it. I'm just not a fan of it, but it's still going to be a better system than what we have right now. Because ties really will have a rare occurrence unless literally both teams go until overtime to finish both maps, and then you get a minute to push, I guess, for 1 point, which is very difficult. That's the only time where I can see ties will occur.
Yeah, so you brought up like 2 points I want to kind of pick at. Yeah, so like for ties, all I'm seeing is that because yeah, it is a rare occurrence, but that's sort of rewarding uh, two heavily close teams that are like sort of like dead even, and they're just really good at defending each other and stopping payload and stuff like that. And another thing was that you said for dynamic queue to be gone, would you rather have sort of two separate queues like what they have in certain other games, or like how League used to be, where there's a solo queue and there's a team queue? Would you rather see stuff like that implemented?
To be honest, having a separate queue would be nice. Much similar to how League had a team queue, where you still had a respectable ladder where they picked up challenger teams back then. And not only that, say college team or university teams could use that to practice as a team. So it does open up much more of an amateur scene if you bring in like the team rank system. It's just I've always been a fan of pure solo queue because that's the true definition of your skill, where you're stuck with five other randoms. So if there won't be an inherent leader, say unless like say if you group as a six, you'll probably have a shotgun on your team. So it will also test those individual skills. Say they might have to take up the mantle of a in-game leader and try
Yeah,
to lead this five. So I feel like that
yeah. I
just
only
is a pure merit
yeah
of your skill. I want it,
yeah.
but yeah.
I only bring it up because um, team queues in most games are sort of like the most enjoyable
Hmm.
for me as of recently.
It's very
Also
true.
for yeah, I think that's the same for Harris as well. And yeah, just because when we three queue, I sort of like um, the definitive sort of ladder experience that we want to go for right now. But I can see where you're coming from. The only thing is, there's also the other sort of design point that other games have brought up as well is that if you're looking for a six man and you're um,
You're gonna be stuck in queue
like
for a long time.
yeah exactly like the six man it's gonna be hard to bring in six of your friends together to sort of climb the ladder together. It's sort of easier to just do it fluidly and say, oh, we have four today, let's go four. We have we have two, okay, we can do two, right?
It has flexibility. It also caters to the general public. Surely, like the actual like solo queue experience, it's a very minority group.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the changes to the maps.
All right. So speaking about maps and rank, let's talk about the rewards afterwards. So competitive points. Uh, what will the changes be to towards season two regarding those?
All competitive points are now rewarded at 10 times the amount. So also don't freak out if you have competitive points like me. Say you have like I don't know 200, it'll be multiplied by 10. Although I just checked PTR right now. Uh, If you if you got rank 65 or higher, you're only getting 300, which is kind of weird. Which they should be giving you 3,000. Hopefully they fix it by then. I'm pretty sure Blizzard is aware of it, but yeah, everything will be up by 10. And the reasoning for this is how we were discussing about ties earlier. You will get 3 CP for a tie game, whereas you'll get 10 competitive points for a win. And of course, defeats don't give you anything. So that's the changes, and everything else also costs 10 times more. So it'll take 3,000 points. Oh, one more thing about this that wasn't mentioned before was there is a cap to how much you can have. So say you're storing a lot of competitive points, there is a cap of a 6,000, and they will soft cap it as well. Say you had 6,000 at the end of the season, and then you're expecting that 3,000 more to get you 9,000. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna just say capped at 6,000, and so it's gonna soft cap you every time. So if you ever get to 6,000 points, might as well spend it because you're not gonna gain anymore.
So I can't stack it for next season. Is that what
Nope.
you're saying?
Nope.
Damn.
It's almost as useless as your currency in game.
I love it. All right.
Well, at least we know it's gonna be fixed because me and Harris climbed to 65.
Nah, you'll be stuck there forever. Uh,
Yeah. So um. Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. Um. So you mentioned this earlier with how they changed how the uh what's it called? How the change in the rating system will sort of go away with smurfing. There's also another point that they address smurfing with by adding a skill gap limit between one player to another. So this is new for Overwatch, but it is not that new for other competitive games, namely League of Legends, where they implemented being able to play with only the people one division above you and the one division below you. So say I was platinum, I could only play with my silver friends, or no, with my gold friends and not my silver friends because they're one division lower. Um,
Scrubs.
and this sort of, yeah, they sort of gave that example of level 2000 being only able to play with people from 1500 to 2500 in rank, right?
mhm.
So, what do you think of this affecting Smurfs and how that sort of plays into it?
It's not much of a fix to Smurfs, because quite honestly, you could still technically sandbag games to make it go down. But this will fix the problems they had in Season 1, where a rank 79 would be able to queue with, say, a rank 39, I guess? Yeah, 50 ranks. And they would abuse that system to get a lower rating game. But since there's a rank 39 in it, it would count as an average game. So it would count as a quote unquote even game. But in reality, that level 39 would also be like a Smurf, like a rank 80 Smurf. So the games would be as stompy as it would be, but they're getting full competitive rank for it. So they just abuse the ladder that way and can climb much quicker that way. But with that 500 thing, with that 500 limit gone, there won't be that abuse of the ladder as much. That's more of a fix to that rather than Smurfs, because I still think Smurfs can just throw games intentionally to just sandbag the rank down.
Yeah, with the smurfing. So say like for example, you're playing with an unranked friend, right? Do you think they'll sort of take that into account and say, okay, this person's not unranked yet. We'll see where they lie first for the 10 initial games and then sort of restrict from there. Which again, I bring up the similarity to League because that's how they did it, or they took in their last season's sort of ranking. Is that do you think that's a viable sort of direction to take this, or would it still be sort of infested with Smurfs that say, oh, they just bring it back up to level 25 and then they go straight to rank with that Smurf?
This is a moment where I wish I got to play some PTR before I can answer this question because I'm not quite sure. But the only evidence I have is from one of my teammates who just finished their 10 placements. He went 9-1 and was able to place in Master. He got top 500, and so I'm still unsure if that's because he went 9-1, he got to place in Master, or if it's because there is a soft reset. At this point, we really don't have any information if they're going to soft reset or not, or if it's just a full complete reset. So I'm not quite sure if it's going to be based on your last season's performance. I really wish it was. It would save some time on grinding, but not 100% sure at the moment, so I can't really answer that question.
All right, yeah, looks like we're gonna have to wait on uh, much more clarification for that. Um, yeah, so it looks like Harris is gonna have to take early leave for this podcast. Maybe we'll see him later on. But for now, we're gonna continue on into now that we're done looking ahead. We're gonna take a step back and look at what has been going on in the meta, so to speak, because we also follow uh, a bit of competitive Overwatch as well, and that's sort of some of the things we kind of want to talk about. Um, so some person, uh, I will their Reddit username is D07RIV. Took the stats in and analyzed from the esports tournaments for Overwatch for the week of August 8th to 14th. So that was last week, ending on Sunday. And from his analysis, we saw that over the Overwatch Open qualifiers on the weekends, Lucio was picked 100% of the time. Zenyatta was picked 98.4% of the time. And then Zarya was next highest picked at 77.1. And then the next couple, I'll just name them, but their ranges are from 44% to 54%. So picked at the time. We have Reinhardt, Tracer, Genji, McCree, Winston, and then Reaper at 41%. And then everything else is below is starting at Diva at 11.5%, and everyone else below that is below 10% pick rate. So one question I kind of want to ask is why do you think the meta, not really stale, but why is it so heavily focused on these big picks such as Lucio, Zenyatta, and Zarya, whereas everything else doesn't even come close. More than half doesn't even come close to that amount of pick rate.
Well, right now, defense heroes are pretty much obsolete. Like, I don't know what defense heroes do that an offense hero can't do, which is a big problem. Mercy has got gutted to, like, hell with the amount of nerfs she's gone. And Soldier also got gutted pretty hard with his nerfs. Widowmaker hasn't been seeing any play since the nerfs. The surprising part is Anna hasn't been played much, but I can see why. It's because Lucius and Yara brings in so much utility and just usefulness as a support, much more healing, much more utility than Anna's. Even with the buffs and everything, it's still not enough for Anna to be picked. The actual surprising part that I see was Junkrat was picked as much as Anna, and he's a defense hero. But
Yeah,
the reason why I
Junkrat
see
is the highest. Sorry, Junkrat is the highest picked defense hero with 4.4%, seeing 35 minutes of playtime. But I think he's sort of the weird defense where he's a defense character that does the best against other defense characters. That's sort of his role in the game, which is why I think his sort of pick rate went a bit lower um, compared to how we were seeing them earlier in other tournaments. But yeah, like defense characters are sort of bottom of the list.
he's also been used recently. He's been just used as a Reinhardt shield destroyer. You just pick him on a fence, like on King's Row, where you'll see a Reinhardt on the fence. Just use that, go into corridors, just break that Reinhardt shield, and then you have your McCree behind you or your Sire behind you, just burst through that shield. Especially with a Discord orb on that Reinhardt, that thing's not gonna live for long. Roadhog has seen a lot less play thanks to Zenyatta. The Discord orb will just shred that thing like crazy. The surprising part is Diva isn't as picked as much. I initially thought Diva would be much more of a contested pick, but I guess it still hasn't found its true identity yet. So we're kind of in a little limbo with Diva right now. I think it's reliant on the other tanks there for the other DPS's buffs. Because Diva would be a good counter to Pharah, but Pharah's got it.
I think a lot of this list and analysis sort of you can see the patterns in why these are picked. Lucio and Zenyatta are just like really dominant because of just their efficiency, with Lucio having the highest healing efficiency and Zenyatta being able to shred tanks with Discord, which is why you don't see a really dominant force like Roadhog not be played anymore. Um, but then we still see characters like Zarya and Reinhardt sort of be the staples of tank, and then Tracer and Genji and McCree to be the staples of offense. Do you think that's because Tracer and Genji are very mobile? They're sort of like the hallmark for really good flankers, which is one of the roles that I know gets played a lot in competitive. And then we have McCree, sort of the gatekeeper for a lot of other things in the game, which is why you don't even see those characters being played.
I feel like McCree has gone down a bit, mainly because of the nerfs. They did nerf his fall off range a bit with his left click. They did buff his right click, but I don't think it's enough. Tracer has seen like a resurgence, which I'm happy because I like Tracer. Especially in King of the Hill, like the meta for King of the Hill right now has been like Genji, Tracer, Lucio Zen, Winston, Zarya, which we haven't had a definitive Tracer meta in quite a long time. And Genji is just ridiculously mobile, and he has crazy utility with his sword, his reflect, his dash, his mobility is like next level. McCree has been seeing less and less play thanks to a bit of the Tracer resurgence, a bit of McCree nerfs, a bit of people just learning the meta and then shifting towards a more flank heavy and more mobile team rather than McCree. Because the Tracer and Genji move faster than McCree thanks to their dashes. And I'm actually surprised to see Reinhardt up there. I'm assuming that's only up there because of the amount of payload that's played in competitive. And
That's
like,
probably why.
you'll always see a Reinhardt in those payload maps. Because it's a shield, it's ridiculously useful. I'm assuming if there was more King of the Hill, we'd probably see the Winston number be matched up with Reinhardt.
Much more Winston.
But Lucio Zenyatta being picked, that really needs to be changed because there's 3 supports. Symmetra's not even on the list, which is crazy. And Mercy is
Yeah,
like
the very bottom is
4
Hanzo with a
minutes.
really
37
good
seconds.
37 seconds of play.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what that's used. That's just used for the early cheese. Either to scout out or to just take a quick shot before switching in. Like say in King's Row. You just take a scatter shot. Pray to God you hit something. and just swap out real quick.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with the meta, because we had mentioned this earlier because we don't really want to go too deep into it, but just sort of quick mention. They are gonna make some hero balancing changes that are rolling out with the PTR. Just quickly, um, Diva's defense matrix. Well, I'm not gonna mention the cooldown ones because it's just like minor changes. Hanzo is getting a slight buff in speed with walking and projectile. Mei, they're trying to buff up her ult. Mercy, they're trying to buff up her speed again, as well as um, taking a change that I don't know will affect as much, but it's kind of cool. They reduce their the amount of time that allies take to resurrect. So it used to be 3 seconds, but now in two and a quarter second, they'll be able to move again. Genji is definitely the hardest hit. Um, I'll just go down quickly. Uh, Double jump no longer resets when wall climbing, so mobility cut. Dash no longer deals damage to traps, and will no longer bypass Junkrat's steel trap, which is um, will be happy on my end because I am Junkrat main. Not so sure about the Genji mains out there. Swift strike no longer um, interrupts quick melee attacks, and then they lowered the duration of um, his ultimate from 8 to 6. So he's seeing a lot of changes. I think this is from sort of community, sort of not backlash, but sort of community outcry of just Genji being really strong out there. I think there's sort of minor number tweaks to Lucio's movement speed. It's down 30%. Um, there's sort of a quality of life change for chain hook, whereas it's sort of less glitchy and it makes more sense. Where the hook target in Roadhog's line of sight, when he's pulling the hook, they'll be moved back to the position they were originally hooked if it's not in the LOS. And then Zenyatta, Discord or damage amplifying is down, and Orb Destruction is up. This sort of just like a balance so that he's not nerfed to the ground, he's still played. So these might bring out some changes. Maybe Genji is still really good at the pro level. Maybe this might reduce his play. Um, but yeah. Lastly, some cool Gamescom announcements. So Eichenwald, the new map, Reinhardt, map around Reinhardt, and his backstory, or not backstory, but it's just his area was announced. It is confirmed to be a was it hybrid or payload?
It did. I'd say it was hybrid. I've always
Yeah,
known
okay,
as
yeah,
hybrid.
yeah. It was hybrid. Yeah. What's really interesting is this. You can find some of the videos online from some personalities they brought into Gamescom to show off these previews of gameplay. Is that it is actually quite a big map. There's a lot of space to move on this hybrid payload map. Um, some of the stuff I've read, this actually sort of occurred because I think it's just sort of a time thing. They pushed back this map and um, they sort of delayed the release of this because it was being worked. They usually have 2 to 4 maps being worked on, right? And from what I read, is that this map was being developed alongside Route 66, and they pushed Route 66 first, and then they sort of held this off for development, which I'm glad to see because this is sort of a new take on maps that we haven't seen before, with having a lot more paths to go through. Like usually we'll see like 2 or maybe 3, but this sort of has sort of it feels like an open map to me if you've seen the gameplay footage, right?
It's a very open map. It seems like it's gonna be a very huge map, which makes me think maybe it will be Widowmaker's playground, maybe not. But I also confirmed it is a new assault escort map, so that is a hybrid, and it will be the traditional hybrid of cap a point and then push the payload.
Yeah, there were actually rumors of it being a reverse hybrid because of footage of a battering ram and a gate, but it seems that you just capture it and then it just battering ram and it's sort of just like a checkpoint that occurs. Sort of like the gates you see in classic payload maps like Dorado or Kings Row.
I wish I could say more about this, but we only seen just teasers about it. It's not even on PTR or anything.
It's just very exciting because one, I like the German castle art style that they have going on. It's very varied because you sort of, if you see footage of it, you go through the village leading up to the castle, and it's very bright outside. But then when you go inside, there's a lot of detail put into, say, like taverns in the town and so on. And then once you go into the castle, it's more sort of uh, elegant, and it's sort of, I don't know how to put it. You know, like this old castle lighting where like the light sort of shines in through the sort of slit windows that castles normally have. I think it's just very, very cool. Um, Especially when you see like other hybrid maps like Kings Row. It's very dark. I'm
I,
kind of excited for this
well, I
this
mean,
map.
it is London.
Yeah,
It's gonna rain all the time.
but
Of course, it's dark.
yeah, and along with that, there's also an announcement for uh, Bastion's story being sort of um, the next installment in their video series. So it's pretty cool having a backstory for Bastion um, in that area. So that's another cool Gamescom announcement, as well as some other stuff being dropped, like videos of new emotes. I know one of your favorites now is Diva emote.
Hilarious. It's a legendary emote where the emote's basically playing a game, also streaming it at the same time. On her left is a Dorito pack, and on her right is an energy drink. It's honestly the best emote I've ever seen. Oh, I'm definitely buying it if it comes out on when it comes out.
Yeah, it's really cool too because now we can see that the legendary sort of price point isn't just reserved for
Again,
skins. They can actually do a lot more work with emotes and stuff like that.
I wouldn't mind
Um,
legendary highlight intros. Make them more epic.
yeah. The only thing I wouldn't really want is a legendary pose. Um,
What a waste
one,
of a legendary.
exactly. Yeah. One because you won't. That's sort of it's not even that special. Like you see it for like 5 seconds, and it's sort of just like, meh.
I mean, it'll be like the biggest bait Blizzard has ever made. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna open up a box. Oh my gosh, it's a legendary. Oh no, it's a pose.
Yeah. All right.
Not like
So
this.
yeah, that's it for Overwatch talk for this week at least. Do you have anything else to add?
This week, um, not this week, but maybe next week when I'm able to play some PTR.
All right.
Because I'm actually
So
really interested in these
next
changes.
week will be Min's report on what's happening at the PTR. I'll get firsthand a look at some of these changes and how they feel, because as many people know, it could look really good on paper or look really bad on paper, but the feel is totally different. All right. So next, one of the other big talking points that we have on this podcast is League of Legends. So yeah, just a bit of backstory. Me, Harris, and Min used to play League of Legends. Um, season Harris and Min and a bunch of other friends, a bunch of our other friends started in season
One.
one,
Yeah,
but
one.
that was like, yeah, but mostly season two. Season one is sort of like the phase where you sort of learning the game, going from level 1 to level 30. For me, that was season 2 where I was leveling up, and I sort of started playing with the guys season 3, which I think um, was one of the
Probably the
most
best
fun
season.
seasons.
Yeah, probably the
Yeah,
best season.
and so yeah, we were playing. I'll just I'll just go more detail. I used to play top lane. Min used to play mid lane, and Harris used to play ADC. Those were the roles that we ended off in, where we stopped playing League. But we were also, um, well, I think I was the one that played the most of the other roles. I sort of didn't just restrict myself to top lane. Um, Min was sort of a dual role kind of guy. Am I correct in saying that, or am I?
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like mid jungle is the only thing I was actually
Yeah,
comfortable
mid
with.
jungle. and Harris was the one trick pony. Uh, you couldn't move him to any other. You couldn't move him to any other role, because one, he just only played ADC, which is good, because he was good at it, and two, if you put him in like another role, say jungle, he wouldn't even know where to begin. There was one instance where I remember he didn't know which color jungle item
He didn't even get
to
an
get.
enchantment.
Didn't get. Yeah, and the thing with jungle, it's like such a hard role because you need to know how to play jungle. So one, I don't know what we were thinking, putting him in that role, and yeah, and two, that it's just as hard on us as it was on Harris. So, so yeah, it's a brief history on that. Um, yeah, I think also season 3 was the start of the LCS being implemented. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was season 3, which is why I think it was much more exciting. And that was also sort of the cement in Korea's rise to being the top in pro play.
That
Because
was
before
definitely
that,
the SKT era.
yeah, before that, EU won season 1, uh, uh, Taipei Assassins won season 2, and then after that is sort of the reign of Korea's uh, being the top, winning every finals before that, and even having last year just being an all Korea final.
Woo!
And yeah, so we've been following the we've been following the esports scene for quite a while now, and that's sort of the only thing that's connecting us back to League is the esports scene, because we don't play anymore, just because one, not enough time to commit as much as we did in high school, but also because I think just our tastes in games have changed, which is why we're all over on Overwatch now.
Overwatch is better.
And so then, with the esports being the focus of what we're going to talk about, I wanna. How do you want to take this? We could talk about the NA LCS first, or the other regions first, because we're from the NA region. We kind of want to focus more on the NA region.
Yeah, let's start NA. Always start home.
Start NA. Okay, so yeah, so NA LCS was, I think, this season was probably one of the more exciting seasons to watch, and more sort of exciting as a viewer and also exciting as an NA fan, just because to me it seems this is one of the strongest years NA has shown since season 2, which is saying a lot, because I don't know, I feel like there's actual like legitimate hope in NA doing really well at Worlds this year, rather than just being like, oh, NA better than EU and all that other stuff.
It's been the most competitive NA has been in years, because let's be honest, NA has just been memes for the past couple worlds, where they just get into quarters mainly, or yeah, quarterfinals mainly because of seeding, which is quite funny.
I think the current season of LCS has, yeah, definitely been the most competitive, and yeah, I just feel like if you looked at MSI this year, with CLG being in the finals, like NA making it to a finals in a world tournament, that's like,
That's
I don't even think that didn't even happen in season 1 worlds. Like as far back as season 1 in a major tournament like this, like NA making it to finals, that's pretty big.
It's practically unheard of, NA making to a final.
That's
EU
not
was
counting
not
like,
as much of a joke, but NA making it
yeah,
to a
that's
final,
not,
that was like, whoa.
yeah, but I think it's very strong right now. Um, yeah, so if we can let's probably like take a look back at the season. Um, Top of the list, TSM. This is it wasn't. I don't know if it was surprising, or maybe it's because comparing to the spring split where they brought in all these. There's a bunch of hype around this team, right? Bringing in 5 superstars. Double Lift joining, Yellow Star joining. That's already big news. Hanser, he was coming up the ranks as being known as a really good top lane, not just in solo queue, but with people in general and fans knowing about it. And then you have the core Bjergsen, and they also brought in a really good jungler in Svenskeren. right? But then as we saw last split, that didn't really pan out. But they sort of did that TSM thing where, okay, no matter how bad we do, we're still gonna make it to finals in the split for some reason, which is kind of weird. It's like sort of like a plot armor they almost have, which is kind of funny.
Oh,
But yeah,
can't
what
beat
were your
playoff
what,
TSM, man.
what were your thoughts on this split, summer split, their TSM team with Biofrost added in?
They have much more synergy than what they had with Yellow Star and Double Lift. They've had so much criticism against them where literally they played like they had zero synergy with each other, which is very heartbreaking to see. I mean, because Double Lift and Yellow are very good.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to see, just because I don't know if it something clicked. Um, Maybe it's just how they try to work the roles in, because we all know like Yellow Star is sort of that control tower that leads his team to victory. You can see last year's Fnatic, like that was the team Yellow Star believed in. He was the only veteran, team full of rookies, and they made it to Worlds semifinals, which is amazing. But then when you bring it to TSM, something didn't click, right? Yeah. But now we know that with the current team, Double F is actually doing a lot of the shot calling, and sort of Bjergsen's moving back to sort of his carry role in his earlier seasons, where he's sort of just the reliable sort of core that will just outplay all the other mid laners, and because of that will snowball to the team. And then we have Biofrost coming in. Um, I'm kind of surprised, not just because I knew he was a good player, but um, Biofrost coming in, it's sort of weird to see how rookies come in to their first split, but it's sort of like a wild turtle effect almost, where they came in and they did really well for their first split.
Well, Turtle just exploded onto the scene. He got Pentakill in his
Yeah,
first game. What the hell? Biofrost has been ridiculously good this season, or this, especially this split. He's been playing very well.
yeah. He's not just playing solid; he's playing like a playmaker role in the team.
I don't know where they find that talent, but damn, he came out of somewhere and played ridiculously well.
And then not far behind, we actually have the Immortals, uh, um, almost undefeated last season. They lost one game, or not last season, last split. But then this, I don't know if it was overconfidence. That's the most sort of logical thing that people are sort of going with. Um, yeah, sort of not not reading the meta as the meme that's going on.
Oh,
Um,
I mean, if you're playing Lucian top, I really don't think you know the meta.
yeah, yeah. I chalk it up to just overconfidence. They sort of yeah. Well, basically they choked last split because they had the almost perfect season. Was it almost perfect? Or was it perfect?
Let me check real quick. 17-1,
Yeah,
almost perfect.
yeah. So
Basically a
almost
TSM
perfect.
score.
Same as TSM, and yeah. Um, but hopefully they bring it this season, or this split. I mean, there's number two, and yeah, I want to see Immortals make it to Worlds and see them on a global stage, because I am a fan of Immortals. I like all other players. I'm a big fan of Rainover and Pobelter. Uh, I think they're really good core of the team, as well as Wild Turtle. Been a fan of him since he what you said, exploded on the scene with TSM, and then Adrian and Hooney, really good, just sort of compliments to the team as well. I think they just like had a really well-rounded team. They were sort of the the anti TSM of last split, where they sort of had the same stories of like these five people that people knew about being put into one team, and we didn't really know what was going to go on with them, and then turns out it was just like a recipe for success. Two splits in a row, they were in top two. Next, we have Cloud9, CLG, and those take up the third and fourth slot. Do you have anything to say about those two teams?
I really want to see Cloud9 in the finals. Mainly because I just want to see Cloud9 TSM in the ACC.
ready, ready for the Cloud9 TSM finals.
I want
Ready
that.
for that again. Ready for that era.
I want that, but
Yeah.
Cloud Knight has been weird.
Cloud has been, yeah, he's weird. I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
I didn't expect him to play that well, but even when they dropped High and Bunny Fufu, they still bring in Smoothie and they're still able to play pretty well. They also brought in Meteos instead of Rush, which
Yeah, and I think
what?
we just it was kind of weird, but I think just from seeing how they were playing this season, Meteos and Jensen just have like a way better synergy than Rush and Jensen ever did. Like just seeing them play, Jensen is doing really well now with Meteos, and Meteos he's back to form to what he was playing before. He's not as dominant, but I think that's just because everyone else in the league caught up to him.
That's a fair statement, but I think it's where High and Meteos had a lot of friction between each other, and that's why they didn't play with each other, and they still don't play with each other. I think Meteos might thrive in this more a bit looser back style of a Cloud9.
Yeah, and you still have the core from the original team of Sneaky. He's sort of just the player you can count on in Cloud9. No matter what happens, he's gonna be one of the core. He is the core of Cloud9, where he just sort of performs. He doesn't
He is so
underperform.
consistent.
He
I
doesn't underperform at all.
like, damn, that guy's really consistent. Fantasy draft, he's like number 1 pick because he's so damn consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go for double lift
And
because he's explosive,
yeah,
but whatever. I like consistently rather than
and then
explosives.
you have Star Power Impact. Is Star Power still?
I've
Like
give Jensen more of a star power than
yeah,
impact.
3 seasons later, I don't think Impact has a Star Power anymore. But he's still a really solid top lane. He's very versatile.
Uh,
Next, CLG. I think this is this season. Not season. This split has been sort of a slump compared to last them being the champions of last split, or the last 2 splits actually, and then you coming up with this now. Um, their wins aren't. Would you say they're definitive? I wouldn't say so. I think their wins are hard fought wins, um, against some of the higher teams.
if I can't
Do you
remember
remember
when the
against some of
last
the
time
other
I saw
teams?
CLG stomp, that's probably a bad news
Yeah,
against a
they've
good team, anyways.
they've been what's it called? They've been at it. But I still think when it comes to playoffs, COG is one of those teams where they do pull it. I think so.
And they showed it against Liquid. That was pretty definitive victories, except when they brought in Jin for the first time. That was a stomp on the other side.
I think this is an unknown factor, but yeah, they're like 2-0. We bring so we're moving on to semis a bit, but Liquid brought in Jinth in place of Fabi for the third game to sort of bring back the series because they were down 2-0, and they did bring it back. Jinth was playing really good for first time on stage. His Ash arrows were on point. Um, but yeah, COG is one of those teams where I think their main sort of strength is that they're not rocked as hard or they're not tilted when something happens. They're a really solid team that knows how to play a series.
They can grind out games. That is a good thing about CLG, where it might not be those stompy games, or maybe those like that stomp TSM games, but they are able to slowly ground out games and get hard fought wins. But that is a play style too, to be fair.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Still a fan
yeah.
of how they play methodically, but it just hasn't been enough this season. I'm still rooting for my boy, X Smithy though. He's been really solid. Not too sure about Dershawn and Huhi. They're sort of lackluster this split. Afrin was still pulling the punches, but I don't know. This team's had a rocky split. Liquid, um, I haven't been following Liquid as much, so I can't really say as much. Um,
Liquid's just being Liquid.
yeah, they have a bunch of different teammates moving in and out. Uh, yeah, Dardoch brought back in, uh, which is kind of funny because it sort of goes to show how much of an asset Dardoch actually is to the team. Because even after all those um, suspension, not was that suspension for the team?
The team suspended him.
Yeah, a team suspension.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
just
being
gen- just
like, if you want to quote unquote, Dardoch is suspended due to his insubordinate behavior.
yeah. If that doesn't take toxic, I don't know what does. Because if you guys know the scene really well, the owner Team Liquid, uh, is it Steve?
That's his name, yeah, Steve. Liquid 112.
Um,
His name's
Liquid One
Steve.
Two. Yeah, yeah. He's one of the he's a passionate esports sort of advocate, and he tries to move forward, push forward. Um, I don't know, not I don't want to say legitimizing esports, but I mean like he's one of those like wants to take it to the next level of professionalism, along with Andy or Reginald and some of the other owners in league, right? Um, One instance of that is when Piglet was BMing at the end of a game. I think it's one of their behind the scenes videos, one of those series that they had. But he was BMing, just like spamming an emote at the end of the game. But even then, Steve called him out for it. He said, "Don't do that. That's not good sportsmanship, or whatever." So he is a guy who does care about how players treat each other and how they react treat in the game. But even then, they brought Dardak back in just because of how big of an asset he was, and he did win them. He was a solid part of the wins that they had this season.
Yeah, Dardoch is a ridiculously good player. They can't bench him because of the skill he has. He's
Yeah,
you're
just kind of it's kind of funny.
weird. Like, if any of you follow CS:GO, he reminds me of Simple, where he'd be ridiculously toxic, but he has such good skill that you cannot bench him. So they just have to grit through it. But Liquid has always had a good what's it called, reputation dealing with quote unquote toxic players. So I can tell that he's gonna pass that stage. He is really
It's
young.
sort of it's
So
sort of like the Piglet sort of situation they had a couple seasons back when they first picked him up.
the dude's really young, so
Yeah,
I can understand why he's a bit toxic.
he's just sort of like new blood getting put into a situation. Next, going a bit more quickly, there's Team Envy. This is their first split in league, right? Just the organization itself being Team Envy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
organization. Yep. They
yeah,
picked
they
up
did.
players from Renegades.
Yeah,
A lot of them
they
were.
did pretty well for their first split for an org that just came in. They're not top of the things, but I think they're a solid team that can stay in the league for a bit.
I mean, they got to playoffs. That probably means something.
Yeah, and then there's Apex, X Specials team. Sort of like really lackluster because I didn't follow any one of their games. I don't. Who's on their team? I don't even
You
know.
don't even know who's on their team.
Yeah.
All
All I
right.
know it's X Specials and three Koreans. I think that's what I
The
know.
Apex has like that 10-man roster where they have Ray, Shrimp, Keen, Apollo, Special, Chris, Diamond Prox, Schefter, Roar, and Con. They have that 10-man roster. It's
Okay,
huge,
okay.
jumbled up.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
th- I think that
One
hurts
of
them more
their
than it helps.
uh
Honestly,
I think one of the yeah well, it's the communication that's in there
but not only that,
because
like,
basically
you have to
you have
synergize with two
Apollo.
groups. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, you have Apollo and Special, right? And then you have people like Ray Shrimp and Keen. So it's like sort of that thing that the Chinese teams had, where it's like, okay, we got three Chinese speaking players, we got two Koreans, we got three Koreans, two Chinese players. Like, how are they communicating, right?
If I recall, Shrimp
Um,
can speak English, so I think
yeah.
it's only Ray that can't speak English as well.
The
But
thing is, Ray has been hit or miss because of the meta. But like when the meta hits him and it's his meta, he plays.
he
Like the carry
reminds me
meta,
of Hootie. He
yeah,
wants to
the
be a
carry meta
carry.
in top, the carry meta in top, that's where he shined. I don't think Xpecial has enough resources around him to be part of a top team yet. I want to see Xpecial come back, um, but we'll see with Apex. They're not being relegated, so
No,
next we have
they had
the
tiebreaker against Envy.
yeah. Next we're at the bottom three, so we can talk about the relegations now. We have here Phoenix One, which had I don't know what happened to them near the last weeks of the season, but they had a resurgence. Kind of too late for it, but you know, better late than never. With what's his name?
Inori?
Inori, yeah. Guy popped off. Fun fact: Phoenix won, only team that beat TSM. It's kind of weird. Maybe if they started playing like that at the beginning of the season, they could be higher up. Energy, my boys Quas and Kiwi Kid. Been a fan of them for a while. Too bad they're on Energy. Also been a fan of Centauran on that team because he is their shining star. I've already used this analogy so many times, but he is pulling everyone up the mountain and everyone is running down. Like, no matter how many times he carries or I see him carrying in a game, Energy will find a way to sort of blow that lead. So I feel bad for Centauran. But he is now he's now a free agent along with Kiwi Kid. There's postseason changes to that team after they were relegated. Do you remember where what happened in the relegations for that?
Yeah, I got it. Echo Fox versus TLA was one of them, and Echo Fox wins 3-2. And then Echo Fox faced against Phoenix 1, went down 0-3. So Echo Fox goes down to the last chance. NRG versus Cloud9 Challenger. NRG loses 0-3, so now it went down to the relegation between Echo Fox and NRG. And Echo Fox wins 3-0. So NRG is out.
Yeah. And we have Cloud9 Challenger. We don't know who that team is going to replace them because you can't have two teams in the same org because of that. We're not going to get into that topic.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see which team fills that slot. Echo Fox, they came back. I think they needed that wake-up call of the 3 series they played to get out of relegation. Please, no offense to Hard, but drop that boy and pick up Centauran. This has been an ongoing thing on the subreddit too. If you just took Centauran, a team where the jungler starred, and put it into Echo Fox, where the jungler didn't do much. If you just put those together, maybe it's recipe for success. Maybe. Then my boy Froggen can come back. Maybe my boy Froggen can come back. And sure, Keith can come along too. But Centauran,
Actually would be
Echo.
That could be a possible change I could see. But actually I would be surprised if NRG takes the Cloud9 Challenger spot. Because
True.
they have a lot invested in it.
All that Shaquille O'Neal money? I see.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if they buy out the spot.
Yeah. So that's the season look back before that. We can do a quick EU LCS one. Do you watch much of EU LCS?
Here and there, not too much.
Alright, so in the regular season, I'm just gonna pull up the standings. So, because the weird thing with comparing NA LCS and EU LCS, just because of the format of games. So, if you just look at the standings, everything looks sort of closer in EU LCS because of the ties, the amount of ties there are. But I personally think EU has there is a sort of disparity in skill, and I think EU isn't as strong as previous. Just look at the team's standings. I'll just go quickly. So we have top two, G2 Esports and Splice. I'll get back to Splice in a minute. H2K not far behind, along with Giants, and I'll get back to those guys in a minute again. And we have Fnatic right in the middle at 5, along with Unicorns of Love, 5 and 6. Those two are always together for some reason. Team Vitality and Team FC Schalke 4, 7 and 8, and then at the bottom of the pack, Origen and Rocket. So I think this split for EULCS actually brought in more surprises than NALCS, and I'll get to those. So G2 Esports, what's it called? G2 Esports still reigning top. They didn't lose a single series, which is impressive.
They tied
They
8,
won 10.
did they not?
Yeah, they won 10. They tied 8, but they didn't ever get 2-0.
I guess that's what
So,
happens when you practice and not go on vacation.
uh, no more memes, please. Yeah. G2, they actually got rid of Kikis and they replaced their top laner Kikis, um, for what's his name?
Expect.
Expect. So another Korean import. Um, but they also did pick up Sven and Mithi from Orihen in between the splits, which is I think a big reason as to why this team has done so well. They have a superstar lineup. Perks in the mid lane and Trick in the jungle. Those two duo that duo sort of propelled them in Spring Split. And then you bring in Sven and Mithi, another explosive duo coming in from Orihen, which is um, one of the main reasons Orihen did so well as well. This is a really good all star team. Now, I'm gonna skip Splice again. Go into H2K, another solid team that I've been a fan of for a while. Um, because my boy Prolly has been coaching them. But yeah, they brought back Forgiven again after he left Orihen because of lack of motivation or whatever reason that was. I don't even know why he'd have a lack of motivation at this level. But you have, um, we have Ryu, our boy from all the way from Korea. He's finally yeah, he's been revived, so to say. Otomamne, Solid Rock, Yankos, First Blood King, Vander. I still remember him from when he came in for Gambit a couple seasons back. He's a solid player. And then Forgiven, finally coming back to H2K. So it's just a solid lineup. People thought this was going to be a really good sort of roster for them that would do well. But they haven't been doing exceptionally well, like top of the standings. They are third, but it's a very close third place because they have 27 points tied with 3 teams. So the next two are Giants and Fnatic, right? I want to touch on Splice and Giants now because these two teams were near the bottom of last split, if you remember that.
Did they have the same
Um,
players for Splice? Or did they change
yeah,
people?
Splice. So Splice, the actual, which what's really cool about this team. I've been following them for a bit just because it is an underdog story. They're Dignitas EU, right? Um, they became Splice, and then they had their team Wonder, Trashy, Senkux, and Kabi. But then the only change they made was put in this new solo queue player, Mickey, right? Put him into support. Um, Now their all Danish team is no longer all Danish, but maybe that's what they needed to win. But yeah, these were the guys that surprised because this was a almost relegated team last split, and now they're second. Like that's a really strong showing, and they didn't change much but for support, right? They didn't bring in these. They didn't change their roster completely and bring in like a superstar team. They stuck with the same team. Yamato Cannon, the coach, stuck it through with these guys, and they are now second. They straight into semifinals, and I would actually love to see them qualify for Worlds just to see, because they sort of remind me of a super hot crew from a couple seasons back. And then Giants, they did get rid of uh, their old team, or not, but most of their old team. Now they just have they have some Korean imports in mid lane and ADC
ADC.
role.
Yep, Soundstar.
Yeah, maybe, and that could be a credit to their performance, just
Yeah.
refreshing with better players. And then Fnatic, middle of the pack. They were just kicked out of the running for uh, the split finals because they were kicked out by H2K in the quarters.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Speaking of
yeah.
which, H2K looked ridiculously good in that
Yeah,
quarterfinals match.
exactly. That's the H2K that would have been the superstar team that dominated along with G2 and Splice, but they're in that sort of third place tie. But yeah, they brought in Kikis after getting rid of Gamsu.
Finally.
Not too sure about that. Yeah, Gamsu
I've never
was
been a fan of Gums, so
it's an okay player. He's
I
just an okay
I
player.
personally never been a fan of him. He's been there since Alienware in Korea.
Yeah,
I haven't been a fan
Febiv,
of him at all.
yeah, Febivin isn't shining as he used to be. Spirit, not as well. Same for this is just a team that I think this is their slump as well. Same for CLG. Same is CLG fourth, so they're
CLG
CLG's a
was
bit better.
third,
Yeah, fourth,
no, or they fourth.
fourth.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did
a
worse
bit
than I
better.
thought.
But I think this is their slump splits. Except COG didn't. I mean, Fnatic didn't make it to semis. That's because NA over EU. Moving on. The rest I couldn't really care for. I don't really follow them. Orihen just poor performance from the split compared to last. They
I think
forgiven
that has to be the
bailed on
biggest
them.
drop, hasn't it?
Yeah, forgiven bailed on them. They have to bring in. They have to bring in Expect A.
Into
Like,
the
come on.
80-0.
It's the high of EU. They bring in a guy named Toaster. They still have Soaz Amazing and Power of Evil, and they brought in Hybrid from G2. Uh, but yeah, their performance is just really underperforming. SC Schalke 4, they were strong a bit at first, but then they fell off. They went to their true calling. Um, Team Vitality, I am a fan of their players. Um, my boys Kasing and Hjarnan, except now it's Police. But yeah, they brought in a bunch of Korean players as well to play, but now they're sticking with a mostly European team. Cabashard, Shook, these are guys, and Nuke Duck. These are guys with a lot of talent, but there's just something in the team that's not going on.
I think Mighty Bear is the only Korean there now. This Police
Yeah,
has
that's
been on
still
the
there.
sub. Yeah,
Yeah.
Police is on the sub.
Oh, is he?
I think so.
Okay.
Pretty sure he got put into the sub, and they brought in
Yeah.
someone else.
Promotion. Rockat made it through. Orihen made it through. FC Schalke 4. Sorry, Misfits took your spot. Misfits played. They sort of remind me of some of the old Rockat. What was their name?
Old Rocket.
The you know what I'm talking about? What's their name?
Well, like the airwalks and raided people.
No. There was a team.
Elements. I don't know.
No. Okay, whatever. I can't remember right now, so I can't even talk about it. But they played like a classic EU promotion team where they come out of nowhere, play a different sort of game, and they make it to LCS. So, congrats to them. And then for quarters, Unicorns beat out Giants and H2K beat out Fnatic. H2K with a 3-0, which was like, if you listen to analyst desk, they're like, yeah, Fnatic's got this. Maybe contesting, so 3-2 or 3-1. Nope, H2K is like,
3-0.
all right, we're done with this. We're gonna go on. Which is why I'm kind of sad they're facing Splice.
Oh, that's gonna be fun one to watch.
But that is a good contest to see if Splice is deserving of their second place. G2 and Unicorns, I think G2's gonna win.
G2's gonna 3-0.
H2K and Splice though, I think it's gonna be a close game.
I feel like this, if anything, this year is gonna go 5. If
Yeah.
not, it's gonna go 4-3-1. But I don't know who to give the edge to.
Right. And because we're getting closer to Worlds, I'll just do a quick rundown, and then we can finally go back to a prediction for NA. So LPL, I have there's just so many games you can't even follow. But I know RNG and EDG are finals. I don't know if they played the finals yet.
They didn't play finals yet, no.
Yeah. There's also Team IME in third beat out World Elite. QG from Summer Spring Split isn't even in Summer Split. Yeah, and my boys at Team Snake, Snake Esports, my favorite team. They couldn't make it, but they will be part of the Gauntlet. So the Gauntlet still has to come for thing. But I think RNG and EDG sort of take up the top two spots no matter what. Am I wrong in that?
God, if I could find a tweet about that, there was a tweet about who is automatically in the world. Depending on their spring and their summer.
Also, Quaggu Reapers or QG, um, they were newbie at this split, but then they got relegated, or they were in promotion relegation, so they don't have any points to move on, even though they did top four last split. But yeah, RNG EDG, sort of the classic, the El Clasico for China now. I want to see Snake get out of the gauntlet, but I think it's either World Elite or IMA at this point. LMS, even less information about. I think it's just gonna be like AHQ and Flash Wolves again.
I can't even talk
To
about
be
LMS.
honest,
I don't watch LMS at all.
Type A Assassins maybe up there, but I'm pretty sure it's Flash Wolves AHQ.
Whoa, actually, now that I look at it, Flash Rolls HQ is the semis.
Hmm. I think Flash Wolves auto qualified though, because I think they have enough points. I
That
might be
I
wrong there.
still can't talk about either.
All right, Korea. Let's go to
Woo!
Korea. So I think okay. So I'm gonna go with my knowledge. SKT not their best season, one of their worst to be honest.
It's an even year.
Um,
An even year.
hmm?
SKT can't win in even years.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, do they qualify for Worlds though?
It depends who wins. If KT Rolster wins, SKT has to go to the gauntlet. But if Rocks Tigers win, then it's Rocks and SKT in, and KT
Hmm.
needs to fight for the gauntlet.
Who's the current KT roster roster?
The same
KT
old.
roster roster. Same old, same old. Oh, okay.
Someday
I think
Score,
they have.
Fly, Arrow, and
Yeah,
Hachani.
that's a solid team. Um, they lost to CLG though, but wait, did they?
Did they?
I can't remember from the last Worlds. Last Worlds, right?
Oh, that's so far back, man.
They were the Korean team that couldn't. That's all I know.
You're
The
putting that too
SKT
far back for
rocks.
me.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the same
Oh,
sort of
okay,
deal.
okay, wait. I have the
SKT.
qualified teams right now. Okay,
Okay.
EDG, RNG, Rocks, and G2 are qualified no matter what happens in their respective
Yeah.
regions
Okay. Yeah. So Rocks has to face KT Roaster,
in the finals.
um,
Yep.
in the finals. Yeah. SKT can still make it just based off points.
It depends on
Um,
KT, or I guess it
yeah.
depends on KT Rocks
Yeah. Because if Rocks wins, then they have enough points.
to make
Um,
it by a second seed
yeah. Yeah. Because if KT Roaster wins, then they auto qualify because they're first place, and then Rocks auto qualifies
because
because they
of
have enough
points. Yep,
points. And then that's why
SKT might
SKT
not
has
make
to
it.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Not this season hasn't been as exciting for me as opposed to other regions, but that's just because NA's just been really exciting this season. But yeah, I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be Rocks who wins, and then SKT gets second seed, and then KT Roaster has to go through Gauntlet.
really weird who to say who's gonna win. Cause I was talking with my brother about this, and he's pointed out that Rocks and KT have very similar playstyles, and
That's true. That is true.
very true if I look at
They
it.
haven't changed. Like that's like the more methodical of they're the epitome of Korean play.
Like the biggest difference between those teams is between Score and Peanut. Peanut being the battle
Yeah.
ward and Score being the more control jungle.
Yeah, he's a control jungle. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. And so then, we already talked about EU, and just going back to NALCS, we'll close it off here, being our last topic. Um, yeah. So if we look at the bracket, and we're only focusing on NA so much because one, it's our own region, and two, we actually get to see the
The finals of
the
this.
finals. The finals, very exciting. So Immortals face off Cloud9, and TSM face off CLG. I think. Okay, I'll just give you my rundown. Immortals Cloud9, I think it's going to be a 3-1 for Immortals. 3-1.
For
I don't
who?
think there's tilt for Immortals. For Immortals.
For Immortals. Immortals 3-1.
Just because Cloud9 is a formidable opponent when it comes to best of fives. But I think Immortals, just as a team in general, they learned the lesson last time. They're not taking any chances now. Um, there's no big meta shift. All right. If you look at top lane, you're gonna see Nar. You're gonna see Irelia. Maybe like that's about it in NA. You don't even see Gangplank and Echo like you see in EU. Um, yeah, and then even in NA for ADC, you're gonna see Jin. You're gonna see Ash. Maybe Lucian. So it's all about Pobelter and Reignover and Meteos and Jensen. That's where the variety of champions lie, and I think Reignover and Pobelter have just been popping off this entire season, and are doing a really good job for their team.
That's very true.
And then okay, I'm gonna continue on for TSM and CLG. Sad to see that these guys are facing each other in the semifinals. Um, Mainly because TSM CLG meeting in the finals again would be amazing. Just because the games last year, uh, the games last year for the or not last year, last split for the finals was really exciting. Um, and last year as well when they won, uh, when they finally became when CLG finally became champions again. Um, with this team though, I don't know if COG has enough firepower to beat uh, this current TSM roster with CLG being so shaky as they were this season, this split. TSM just being really good this split. I don't. Maybe it's a 3-0. Um, and or maybe CLG is able to take a game off them, but I think overall it's going to be a TSM win. It'd be really great if it was a 3-2 full 5 series, just because seeing them battle it out. But honestly, I think it's going to be TSM and Immortals in the finals, and Cloud9 and CLG in third place. I wouldn't mind as much because TSM and Immortals are fun to watch. That is top two, so it makes sense for them to be finals. That'd be really exciting finals to watch. Um, and then yeah, CLG and Cloud9. That shouldn't be a bad matchup. Not as exciting just because it's not finals, but it will be a good series. TSM and Immortals. I think. Mm, my heart says Immortals, but my brain says TSM for finals. But I'm gonna say Immortals 3-2 TSM, just because that's what my heart says. Because I'm a bigger fan of Immortals. I I want to see my boy Pobelter at the top. Um, yeah,
Are you talking about
TSM
the
already
finals?
qualifies. Yeah, TSM already qualifies for Worlds, so uh, whatever. Wait, do they qualify for Worlds?
There is no auto qualify for NA at the moment.
Oh, okay, so it's just winners, I guess. I so there it is. TSM, Immortals 3-2 TSM in finals. COG and Cloud9, whatever, third place. It's gonna be a 5 game series because they're pretty close. That's about it. What are your thoughts on the brackets?
NA is going to have the most intense semifinals between TSM and CLG and Immortals vs Cloud9. I
Yeah,
really can't see a
it's
closer games than those.
it's a pretty tight pack.
Like over at EU, you have Splice vs H2K, which is gonna be a fun game, but then G2 versus Unicorns of Love, that's
Goodbye,
probably gonna be a
unicorns.
stomp. But Korea does have a fun game too with Rocks vs KT, and so does China between EDG and RNG. Those will be very close games as well. And I can't really talk about LMS because I don't I don't know about them.
All right. Closing thoughts on NALCS because the finals are going to be in when's the
28th.
next week.
Yep, 28th.
Next week.
Yeah.
All right. So next weekend, we'll get to see Immortals beat TSM in a 5 game series.
You just want to see 5 games so you get your money's worth.
I want to see 5 games. I want to see Immortals win. I want to see Pobelter carry Huni, Reignover, Wild Turtle, and Adrian in the game and when they carry the trophy. I want to see all that. Yeah. So after when that week happens, because this week is semifinals. Um, we're actually gonna make our way to ACC in Toronto, and we're gonna watch the finals where TSM and Immortals fight it out, and TSM sadly loses, and we get to cheer.
Do we really?
And hopefully we'll. I have another poster here waiting to be autographed. Hopefully we can get some autographs there. Or just do some fun stuff. Um, this is the first live event for LCS in Canada, so and it's in our home turf too. So we better get our we better get our not money's worth, just because it's gonna be so limited. We don't know the next time they're
LCS
gonna
will
be
come
back
here.
in they're gonna be back in Toronto. So it's gonna be exciting. So I think we've been going on for a while now. I think we hit the hour and a half mark. Yeah. Closing remarks. I think we went over a lot in Overwatch. With just because we're in between the two seasons. Next week we can have your input on PTR. League, we have semis to talk about next week. For both regions actually. And yeah, if we don't have as much to talk about, we can actually talk about the new Hearthstone adventure, because we've been playing that too, and maybe I can give you guys some more insight into other games such as No Man's Sky, which is what I've been playing for past couple of days too. So thank you for listening to our inaugural podcast for this podcast, which still has no name because we haven't thought of one in an hour and 30. And we'll see you next week. Yeah, we're gonna try and plan on doing this weekly. One, so we can keep up the content, and two, we can stay up to date with the news and not be too far back. Hopefully, Harris can join us more next week, and the time constraints won't have him having to leave us as early. Any final thoughts, man?
Not really.
All right. So we'll see you guys next time.